Hello again. It's Monday, April 3rd, 2017, and I have a few things to talk about in today's gender transition update. Some pretty cool things. I meant to make this video about a week ago, a little over a week ago, but I got sick. I was sick with a really nasty cold, and I'm still on the tail end of it. I'm in the end phase where I'm just coughing constantly, but hopefully the coughing will remain at bay for this video. But yeah, I meant to do this a week ago. So this is essentially my 4-month HRT update, because Saturday before last marked 4 months on HRT, which is awesome. And I guess we'll start there. How's everything going? Just fine. As always, I feel perfectly fine and super happy, and yeah, everything's going just as well as could be. I am pondering what may be a mental change as a result of the HRT now, and I'll talk about that a bit later. Other stuff that happened though, on Friday before last, the day before my 4-month anniversary, I achieved a very huge milestone in my gender transition. I went out in public for the first time dressed fully as a woman, not androgynously or anything, just straight up female. I went out in public for the very first time dressed as a female, and that was Friday, March 24th. And it was really scary. How did I dress? I dressed in that purple top with the little turtleneck that I showed you in the last update, and the black maxi skirt. And as it turns out, indeed, that purple top is way too short, as a matter of fact, but I was able to make it work because I just put the top of the skirt just a little bit above my belly button, and I tucked the purple top into it. And I looked on Google Images beforehand, and that's indeed an outfit that works just fine. So that's what I did, and it went pretty awesome. You know, I felt naked leaving the house in the morning. You know, I shaved my legs beforehand because those skirts that I have a slit up the side of one leg, and that's what enables your legs to have mobility so that you can walk. But it's kind of revealing. It reveals the side of one of your legs up to about your knee, and so I had to shave my legs to prepare for that, and that took a long time because I made one attempt to shave my legs about 3 months ago, and it didn't work out very well, and I had a lot of ingrown hairs and stuff, and I made another attempt this time, and it seemed to turn out pretty well. I haven't had a terrible number of ingrown hairs or itchiness or redness or anything like that, so that's good. But yeah, just where it revealed part of my leg, you know, that was one of the scary parts about it, just revealing that part of my body. I think it's been a few years since I've even worn shorts. I stopped wearing shorts a few years ago, even in the summertime. I just didn't want to wear shorts anymore, and I have a feeling that perhaps this might have been a part of the reason why. But yeah, I felt naked leaving the house like that, you know, just knowing that when I walked, part of one of my legs was being exposed, and just how I overall looked, because I'm still scared that the public sees me as a man. And I was so scared. I was scared of, you know, are any strangers gonna come up and talk to me about this or anything. But I left this room, and I went out and waited for the bus, and by the way, it was well below freezing outside, so it was kind of novel that I was dressed in a skirt in 10 below 0 Celsius. But anyway, I waited for the bus, and the bus came, and I got on the bus, and I got to school, and I walked to class, and nobody said anything. Well, I got to class, and a couple of people told me I looked great, so it went just fine, and I'm super happy about that. So that was my first time going out in public dressed as a woman, and it went awesome. Just nobody said anything to me except for a couple of friends who told me I looked nice, so that was great. But that's not all though. There was a special reason that I went out dressed as a woman that day. That evening was a banquet being held by the university, and I never go to these things, these fancy dinner things. I went to one about 6 years ago. I went to one when I was nominated for a scholarship, which I ultimately didn't win, and I was living at home with Mom, of course, at the time. I was in high school, and I had to travel way up here to go and stay overnight in a hotel with Mom to go to this banquet thing for this scholarship nomination. That was my first time going to a fancy dinner thing, and I was all dressed up, with a suit and tie and dress pants and dress shoes and all that, and I didn't like it at all. And I'd never been to any sort of fancy thing since then, but a bunch of my friends told me I should go to this banquet. And I'm like, you know what, fine, I'll go to the banquet, and to make it even more interesting, I'll do some experimentation and go as a woman. So that's why I dressed the way I did. And yeah, it went awesome. I've already told you, everything went awesome at school, and then I went to the banquet, and that went awesome too. And some of my professors and former professors were there, and some of them, made it obvious that they were happy to see me there, and friends were happy to see me there, and sat with a good few friends who accompanied me, and yeah, it was awesome. I had a great time. That was the first time in years I've been to anything like that. First time in public dressed as a woman. First time at any sort of event dressed as a woman. So a bunch of new things happening at once, and it all worked out perfectly. I had a really great time, and just had a lot of fun. So I'm really glad I did that. That's one big gender transition milestone off the checklist now. So super happy about that. So next update. A few days later, last Wednesday in fact, this last Wednesday, I saw the endocrinologist to review my latest blood work and how everything was working out. And the results of my latest blood work were strange. They were not quite right, and I'll tell you what. My testosterone reading came out fine again. It was just over 1 this time. Like I've said before, 1 what, I don't know. I think it's like nanograms per milliliter or nanograms per deciliter or something like that. But my testosterone was just over 1, and the goal is to get it just under 1, so I'm almost there. I've almost got all the testosterone flushed out of my system. So the endocrinologist upped my Spiro again. So to recap, I started out originally on 100 milligrams of spironolactone per day. He then upped it to 150 per day. He's upped it again. I'm now on 175 milligrams per day. So I'm getting up there to a fairly high amount of spironolactone. I think the highest I've ever, people often post how much they're taking on Reddit, and I think the highest I've ever seen is 200. So I'm up to 175 now. And I figure that'll probably be the final value. That'll probably be enough to, because like when I was on 100, my testosterone was 3. On 150, it's gone down to just over 1. So I figure this boost to 175 will probably get it under 1. So yeah, the T was just fine, but my estrogen, that's where things got really strange. Now to recap, in the beginning, before I started HRT, my estrogen was actually slightly lower than what would normally be seen in a male. And once I was on the HRT and I did the blood work a month later, it showed me as having a perfect amount of estrogen. My estrogen was already in the ideal female range, which was pretty remarkable. So he didn't have to change my dose. This time, however, my estrogen fell from the perfect value it was last time to a quarter of that value. He was a bit confounded by that, and we discussed it, and he said, I remember he wanted me to take my pills 24 hours before having the blood work done. And we discussed this, and I did some calculations in my head, and it turns out I actually took my last pills about 36 hours before the blood work was done. So I waited, I took the last pills a bit too early, and too long of an amount of time had passed when I got the blood work, and so my estrogen was a bit low because I hadn't taken my next set of pills in a long time. So he thinks that might have been the issue. So what we're going to do is, he hasn't adjusted my estrogen. I'm still on the same 2 milligrams per day that I've been throughout this whole time. And I'm going to have another blood work done here in about 3 weeks. And I'm going to be more careful this time, make sure I take my last set of pills 24 hours before the blood work is to be done. And then we'll see what it reads that time. And then we'll have a definite value of anything that needs to be adjusted. So, bit strange this time, but it's no big deal, and we'll just see how it reads again in the next blood work. So I think that's all the things I wanted to talk about in this video, which leads us to the last thing, which is the thing I mentioned in the beginning of this video regarding mental changes. I'm starting to wonder if something which I originally didn't think was a result of the hormones might actually be a result of the hormones. It's obvious to all of you that I have neglected the main YouTube channel for the last several months, and actually in the past about a month I've even been kind of neglecting this channel. I've been really lazy getting these updates out, and it's not just because I have nothing to make a video about. I do, and then I just sit around and don't get it done. Regarding the main channel, because that's the biggest target of neglect, I've talked about how I just really don't have the time. School's really hard, and I'm working really hard and everything like that. That's true. This semester of school, I don't think I've worked harder in any semester of school than I've done this semester, and it's paid off. I'm doing quite good in school this semester. But the truth is, I do have, you know, occasional days interspersed with my schedule that I do have some free time that I could use to make a YouTube video or edit an existing YouTube video that I already have sitting on my computer or stuff like that. But the thing is, I just don't feel like it anymore. I don't feel like making videos or editing videos anymore. And so I'm wondering if this is a direct result of the hormones. Because I know that sometimes without testosterone in one's body, that can kind of, you know, reduce the, you know, the emotional drive to do things. Someone commented on my last HRT update, not about anything related to the update, but they mentioned any mental changes, and I'm like, well, I've neglected the YouTube channel for so long that I'm wondering if it's due to how I actually feel now rather than due to external factors like school and stuff. And they said that testosterone will cause one to have the drive to do things, especially things that aren't necessary to live. And I've read that before as well. And so I'm wondering now, where the truth being that I have had opportunities to make videos, but I just don't want to anymore. I'm wondering if this is a result of having almost no testosterone in my body anymore. I'm wondering if the hormones have actually done this to me. I don't know. And it's strange because internally, I do want to make videos. It's been one of my favorite pastimes for the past 9 years almost. I do want to do it. It's not just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this anymore, I'd rather do this. I just don't have the drive to do it anymore. In fact, I haven't been doing much of anything in terms of my normal hobbies anymore. I've done a little bit of computer tinkering, but other than that, not much else. I have a bunch of things here that normally I'd really love to make videos of. I'd be really gung-ho making the videos just as fast as I can, but instead they're just sitting here. The things are just sitting there and I'm not playing with them or making videos of them or anything. And so this slightly worries me because I've always loved making YouTube videos, and I'm almost wondering now, I don't think this is the case, I think this would be quite extreme, I'm almost wondering if I'm changing as a person, that type of thing, you know, am I becoming the very thing that a lot of the naysayers on my coming out video talked about? Oh, I'm going to become a different person. Well, I shouldn't, but here I am now not feeling like making videos anymore. But it's really conflicting because I do. I just don't have the drive. When I have free time now, all I want to do is sit on the computer and read or watch other people's videos. I don't feel like making my own. And yeah, it's really, really strange, and I don't even do much tinkering these days. When I have free time, I just spend it doing really lazy, passive stuff. And that's not like me, normally. So, I don't know what's going on, but it's certainly something to ponder regarding if it's a effect of the hormones. I don't know. I actually brought this up with the endocrinologist, because he always asks me, how do you feel? Are there any lifestyle changes? Stuff like that. And I tell him everything. It's important to him as a doctor to keep probing me for these things to make sure that he can continue being confident that I'm doing this for the right reasons and not for some other, as a result of some other mental or emotional issue that needs to be sorted beforehand. It's an ongoing thing, and he as a doctor is obligated to make sure that I'm okay through all this. So I brought this up with him, and he said we'd check the next blood work and take a look at what that stuff reads. And I told him how, you know, school is just really beating the crap out of me and everything, and I said, well, maybe once summer comes and I actually have some free time, then I'll perk back up and feel like doing some of my old hobbies again. And he said, well, we'll see. And he said, if summer comes and I ain't doing much of anything that I would normally do, he said, we'll investigate that, and maybe it'll be a matter of prescribing me like electrolytes or something like that. It could be a lack of something else, and my brain's just not firing in the motivation department. But it's so odd because I'm really good with school this semester. In fact, pretty much immediately after I started HRT, my drive to do schoolwork and get my schoolwork done really shot up, and it's still going. I'm doing really good in school. So maybe it is school, you know, and maybe once it's done, things will return a little bit back to normal. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyhow, I'm gonna wait till summer comes and see how my feelings change then, and just play it by ear. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting from a technical perspective regarding what the hormones may be doing to me. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. As always, thank you so much for all your support. It means a lot. I'm so glad that people are happy to see that I'm really happy with this stuff. And things keep progressing. I keep surpassing these milestones now. I'm doing really well with all these new things I'm doing. Like being able to go out in public as a woman was one of my huge, major milestones, and I killed it, and I felt awesome doing it, so I'm super happy. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. As always, my main channel is called The Maritime Man. my Instagram, The Maritime Man, my second Instagram where I talk, which I dedicate solely to gender transition related stuff. That's called becoming.me.0, and my Twitter, The Maritime Man. So, thank you, and I will see you later.